What's up? It's Yirmiyahu Ben Yisrael, and we're gonna talk about Harvard University. Now they have a white supremacist agenda going on, where uh, this article that I'm about to read says Harvard slapped with lawsuit over legacy admissions. Your family's last name and the size of your bank account are not a measure of merit. The Supreme Court's affirmative action case revealed that 70% of Harvard's donor-related and legacy applicants are white. Legacies are 6 times more likely to be admitted. So again, this is as you can see, this is an agenda of white supremacy that is going on at Harvard, where Edomites being the majority. Of course, their sons, their daughters, grandsons, granddaughters are going to be the first alumni to be considered. And we're going to go on to read the rest of this and how it's just an attack on minorities, all these so-called blacks. But it goes on to say, a civil rights group is challenging legacy admissions at Harvard University, saying the practice discriminates against students of color by giving an unfair boost to the mostly white children of alumni. It's the latest effort in a growing push against legacy admissions, the practice of giving admissions priority to the children of the alumni. Backlash against the practice has been building in the wake of last week's Supreme Court's decision defending affirmative action in college admissions. Lawyers for Civil Rights, a nonprofit based in Boston, filed the suit Monday on behalf of the Black and Latino community groups in New England, alleging that Harvard's admission systems violate the Civil Rights Act. Why are we rewarding children for privileges and advantages accrued by prior generations, said Yvonne Espinoza Madrigal, the group's executive director. Your family's last name and the size of your bank account are not a measure of merit. It should have no bearing on the college admissions process. Opponents say the practice is no longer defensible without affirmative action, providing a counterbalance. The court's ruling says colleges must ignore the race of applicants, activists point out, but schools could still give a boost to the children of alumni and donors. A separate campaign is urging the alumni of 30 prestigious colleges to withhold donations until their schools end legacy admissions. That initiative, led by Ed Mobilizer, also targets Harvard and other Ivy League schools. So as you just heard, this is not something just going on at Harvard, but this is going on at multiple top-level schools where they're just trying to keep it as segregated as possible. They want to keep, just like how, you got your elites who also feel the same racial xenophobic tension because they don't like Yah's chosen race. They don't like the fact that, the Black and Latinos are, coming up and trying to catch up to these Edomites. But they want to keep it as segregated as possible. This goes from biblical times up until where we are today in 2023. But it goes on to say, President Joe Biden suggested last week that universities should rethink the practice, saying legacy admissions expand privilege instead of opportunity. Several Democrats in Congress demanded an end to the policy in light of the court's decision, along with Republicans, including Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, who is vying for the GOP presidential nomination. The new lawsuit draws on Harvard data that came to light amid the affirmative action case that landed before the Supreme Court. The records revealed that 70% of Harvard's donor-related and legacy applicants are white, and being a legacy student makes an applicant roughly 6 times more likely to be admitted. 6 times. So that means, although we have a lot of you know, black children, getting honor roll, getting like dozens of scholarships to the top schools because of things like these legacy applicants having 6 times more likely to be admitted over these so-called blacks and Latinos who are doing good in schools from, high school and looking to get into college. Still, it's basically like all for nothing because of this unfair advantage, because of the satanic system. But it goes on to say, it draws attention to other colleges that have abandoned the practice and made questions about its fairness, including Amherst College and Johns Hopkins University. The suit alleges that Harvard's legacy preference has nothing to do with merit and takes away slots from qualified students of color. It asked the U.S. Education Department to declare the practice illegal and force Harvard to abandon it as long as the university receives federal funding. Harvard did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the lawsuit. A spot given to a legacy or donor-related applicant is a spot that becomes unavailable to an applicant who meets the admissions criteria based purely on his or her own merit, according to the complaint. If legacy and donor preferences were removed, it adds, more students of color would be admitted to Harvard. The suit was filed on behalf of Chica Project, African Community Economic Development of New England, and the Greater Boston Latino Network. It's unclear exactly which schools provide a legacy boost and how much it helps. In California, where state law requires schools to disclose the practice, the University of Southern California reports that 40% of last year's admitted students had family ties to alumni or donors. Stanford reported a similar rate. An Associated Press survey of the nation's most selected colleges last year found that legacy students in the freshman class range from 4% to 23% of 4 schools: Notre Dame, USC, Cornell, and Dartmouth. Legacy students outnumbered black students. Supporters of the policy say it builds an alumni community and encourages donations. A 2022 study of an undisclosed college in the Northeast found that legacy students are more likely to make donations, but at a cost to diversity. The vast majority were white. The Associated Press education team receives support from the Carnegie Corporation of New York. The AP is solely responsible for all content. So you just heard, it's an attack on y'all's chosen people, and the fact that someone had to call it out and make this public, because I didn't even know this was a thing. Yeah, I knew that, obviously, the white students had an advantage, but to this extent where there's such thing as a legacy applicant where they already have 70% being majority white. I mean, you can't compete with that. But hey, this is just things that are coming into fruition from the Bible, where Yah's people were at the bottom and the Edomites were at the top because of the hatred that they had for Yah's people, the slavery, the bondage. It's all just coming into fruition. But yep, just wanted to touch up on this. This is Yahoo, been Israel. I'm out. I praise to the Most High.